Hi everyone, my name is Brooke Davidson, and I'm going to be your guide in this Mindfulness for Educators series. So in addition to being a yoga and mindfulness instructor, I'm also a public educator. So I have worked for 5 years now as a high school English teacher, and therefore know firsthand of the exhaustion and the stress and the general overwhelm that can come in a day-to-day teaching environment. With that in mind, I decided to share what I've learned from my own mindfulness practice, both as a student as well as a teacher of mindfulness, and create this series that's specific to educators. So a lot of the tools that I'm going to offer you in this series will be able to be used in real time. So in the classroom setting, it's not like we have the chance to hike to a cave and just sit there for, an endless amount of time. Rather, we're in the midst of answering questions in the class and giving feedback, and even in our free time throughout the day, we're lesson planning and grading and making calls to parents and otherwise really engaged and interacting almost constantly. So these resources I'm going to offer you, some of them will be when you have, a couple minute break in the day, but a lot of them will be in real time as you turn to the whiteboard between answering a question and writing something down. What can you do right then to allow yourself to recenter, to ground back in, and ultimately make your experience of your day-to-day life a little easier and a little more spacious? If you're new to mindfulness, all you need to know is that when we live mindfully, we live with intention and awareness. Mindfulness is not some sparkling unicorn of a thing. Your life is not going to change in these huge dramatic external ways by living mindfully. Rather, your experience of your life changes. We do these little practices to basically train our mind to slow down, to be aware, and to also be accepting of whatever situation it is that we find ourselves in. Only by admitting and embracing our reality can we have power to act within it. With that in mind, I want you to not think of mindfulness as adding more to your already crowded plate. I know firsthand that you are busy and you don't need more stuff. What you do maybe need is a utensil to navigate that plate with and to make your experience of that plate a little more easy, a little more enjoyable. So let's go ahead and jump into a practice. This practice is one that you would do typically when you're alone and when you have a moment. Depending on your students, however, you might even be able to do this with your class. I'm going to coach you through it as you have a couple minutes of time, maybe during your lunch break, maybe just at the start of the day before your students even come into the classroom, and you just want to recenter and calm your energy so that you can act from a more intentional space. So let's all start by letting our hands rest on our thighs. If you're not seated, please find a comfortable seat. And if it feels okay to do so, close your eyes. If that doesn't feel okay, then you can always just gaze downward to the floor. And don't alter your breath here. Just observe it in its natural state. Notice the quality, the depth, the pace. Often we use only the top third, sometimes even just the top fourth of our capacity. Notice if your breath seems to extend really just to the top of the lungs. Keep in mind, this is just a place of observation, not of judgment. Now on your next exhale, draw the navel inward to really push out every little bit of breath. And then we're going to inhale fully, all the way down to the low belly, filling up through the lungs, filling up even into the throat, Exhale through the mouth. Let's do one more of those. Inhale, low belly, lungs, throat. And at the top of that inhale, breathe in just a little bit more. Little bit more. Exhale through the mouth. Now we're going to bring our palms in front of us, facing toward us. Middle fingers will lightly touch. And you can, with gently spread fingers, bring the hands to the low belly. Again, the middle fingers just barely touch one another here. If you open the eyes, you can go ahead and close them again. We're going to do that 3-part breath. So again, filling up low belly. This time feeling as the low belly fills, those middle fingers spread apart. Lungs, throat, and then exhale through the nose as well. First going throat, lungs, low belly, middle fingers come back to touching. Let's do one more of those. Inhale, low belly, lungs, throat. Exhale as though we're pouring from a vase. First throat, lungs, low belly. Move the hands up to the middle of the ribs. Again, middle fingers just barely touch. We're going to do that same practice. Inhale, low belly, lungs, middle fingers spread, throat. Exhale, throat, lungs, middle fingers touch, low belly. One more. Inhale, low belly, lungs, throat. Exhale, throat, lungs, low belly. Last hand placement. Let's bring the hands up toward the collarbone. Again, middle fingers barely touch. Inhale, low belly, lungs, throat. Exhale, throat, lungs, low belly. One more. Inhale, low belly, lungs, throat. Exhale, throat, lungs, low belly. Return the hands to rest palm face down on the thighs and allow your breath to return to its natural cadence. Notice how the quality, depth, and pace compare to when we first sat down. Notice any other sensation in the body, maybe some lightness. Maybe you feel more grounded, more relaxed than when we began. Allow yourself to just sit with this sensation for a moment. And as you feel ready, you can crack the eyelids open, allowing light to enter, and then return the gaze to neutral. A breathing exercise as simple as this is something that we can do at any point throughout the day. Really, any time that we feel that we have the ability to sit down and focus on just ourselves. Now, you might not always be able to close the eyes or bring the hands to the belly. Maybe you're facing the whiteboard in the midst of class and you have a moment to just say, okay, 3-part breath. Belly, lungs, throat, and exhale in opposite. That simple moment can provide just a little bit of space in your day. It can give you an anchor to ground to. Instead of the day blurring by, suddenly you have a moment of pause where you can say, okay, I'm intentionally stepping back, I'm breathing, I'm remembering that I'm not just a brain floating around in a body. I'm also this whole being that's here right now. And maybe taking a breath, a deep, intentional breath, is enough to remind you of that. Of course, the effects of a more sustained practice, such as we just did, where we breathe for a few minutes, can be even more nourishing and more impactful. It can be incredibly soothing for the nervous system as well. So your homework is to find a way to incorporate this into your day for the next week. Give yourself a chance to just breathe once a day. You might have to set an alarm to do it. You might have to write it into your Erin Condren planner. But whatever you need to do, make it happen. Give yourself even just 2 minutes to sit and breathe and just notice how it impacts your experience of your day. Thank you so much for tuning into this. Always feel free to reach out with any questions, any concerns, or any discussion. I am always here. Thank you.